What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wars in the Stars, episode 35. Today, we are going to do a What If episode 7 review. We're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars Visions, Armor Wars, Venom Let There Be Carnage. We're going to talk about Disney Plus Day, and we're going to talk about Son Kane in Obi-Wan Kenobi and what character he's going to play. So, before we get started, I have a couple quick announcements. We are going to get a full Venom 2 preview next week. Or actually, I should revise what I was saying earlier. We're going to talk about Black Panther 2, not Venom 2. We'll talk about Venom 2 extensively next week. If you are a fan of the channel, you would know that for Shang-Chi, I had a prediction thing that Alex and I did. It was like 10 or 15 questions. I'm going to do the same for Venom 2 next week, next Wednesday. So yeah, and again, if you're new here, I usually do this with my good friend Alex. Alex is taking a break, not sure when he's going to come back. He's doing well. It's all that matters to me. So yeah, I'm hoping he gets back here soon. Plus, I've been crafting the October schedule a little bit for streams. So obviously, for the first week, we're going to talk about the final episode of What If. And then it's pretty bare bones after that. I'm thinking about for one of the weeks, I definitely want to talk about DC fandom. I'm not a huge DC guy, but Batman and maybe announcement of Joker 2. Maybe I'll touch on that for a podcast. But there are 3 weeks in the middle of October that I just don't have any idea what I'm going to do yet. So it's going to be a wait and see. Those might be bare bone type of podcast, but I don't have a main topic to necessarily talk about because there are no shows on during that time. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into the meat of everything. Let's talk about the main topic. What if episode 7? Obviously, as the thumbnail suggests, this was a party Thor. Before we get into the episode, I was really excited for it. I really love the character of Thor. I'm glad that Chris Hemsworth was doing the voice. He obviously loves playing that character. And I was really excited for the episode. I didn't know what to expect. And before I get into my further details, we'll talk about it for 10, 15 minutes or so. I was very underwhelmed. I think this was by far the worst episode of What If. There was just nothing really captivating to me. It felt very odd. I just did make sense. I mean, it made sense to me, but it was just Thor throwing a big party on Earth. There's nothing substantial. We got the fight with Captain Marvel. That was cool. But it's just nothing really like captivating or eye-catching about this episode. It's not like all the Avengers being killed by Hank Pym. It's not like the Supreme Strange or zombies, or even the Killmonger episode was way more interesting than this. I mean, Killmonger becoming the Black Panther, killing Stark, Rhodey, Black Panther, T'Challa. Like, that is way more interesting than what this was. I mean, it was basically Thor just throwing a huge party on Earth, and Captain Marvel, he fights her a couple of times. And we had the nice little Easter egg at the end that's kind of setting up what I think the final episode is going to be about. But anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the episode. So the premise of this What If, my opinion, is the worst one. Is what if Thor was an only child? So Loki wasn't adopted. And that premise to me is probably the least interesting out of any of the premises we've had so far for What If. I didn't like it. And obviously in the episode we see that Odin is in his Odin sleep like he was in the first Thor movie. And we see Jane, Darcy, and Thor decides to throw a party in Las Vegas. And it's a massive party. And then you see Howard the Duck, Scourge, the Grandmaster, Skrulls, Jane Foster, obviously. I mean, we see a barrage of cameos. And that was really cool to see all those cameos, I guess. But it's like, why? Like, why? Like, I didn't get it. There's really not a lot to talk about this episode. The more and more I think about it, there's really nothing. Like, I knew it wasn't eye catching, but like, I had stuff to talk about with the other ones. This one, I just really have nothing to talk about. Except the plethora of cameos we had. That's really all this episode added. So Thor has this big party. He's throwing this big party on Earth. He loves Jane. Um, they have the little moment where like Thor's like starstruck and she's starstruck and they have a fun night and there's Rocket there. Rocket's there. He calls him Rabbit again. Uh, I will say I did like Thor's outfit, Party Thor's outfit. I will give him that. Keep throwing the party. The Shield director Maria Hill comes, uh, and what's his name? Rumflo, right? They come and take, or they don't take Thor. Tell them to stop or whatever. Or Jane and Darcy go up to Shield. I know I sound really boring, but I'm myself. I'm trying to remember what happened, but they go up, and Maria Hill calls in Captain Marvel to stop Thor, and um, ultimately they have that first fight, and that first fight is actually really entertaining. Two of the more powerful beings in the MCU, uh, you know, it was a draw basically. That first fight, I was really fascinated because this is the part of the episode I really love because we've always wondered power levels in the MCU. How do characters compare with each other? Captain Marvel and Thor are like neck and neck. I always thought like 3 and 4. I think Wanda and Strange are 1 and 2. Um, so like I was really interested to see like that matchup and how they match up with each other. And remember, this is pre Ragnarok Thor. This is pre Infinity War Thor. This is pre post Endgame Thor, which I think is going to be super powerful. And Thor Love and Thunder, with Gore the God Butcher being the villain. So I was really wondering like how this fight will go. Obviously, it was a draw. They both got in their punches on each other. I know Carol wasn't trying to kill Thor. Uh, but I at first I was like, okay, so these two, the show was presented the idea that Thor and Carol are really, really close, and it's a matter of just opinion. Who do you think is stronger? And then as the episode goes on, we do get the cameo of Frost Giant Loki, which I thought was fantastic. Uh, and I love the dialogue that they have. Um, Loki as a frost giant, it's like him like my brother from another mother, and it's just like, oh, that's so funny to me. He still got his Loki crowds, which I was really confused about. Why would he need those? But anyways, and then him with the cell phone. That was really good. Yeah, that whole thing was that whole dynamic was really good because it's like they actually like each other as brothers. I know they like each other in the real MCU. They love each other, but I really like that relationship that they had. And this episode or what if. But anyways, then we find out that Carol really wasn't trying that first fight. The second fight, she whips up on Thor pretty good. So it's definitely established that Captain Marvel is more powerful than Thor, and like the Thor movie timelines from like Thor to Thor: The Dark World. Is she more powerful than post Ragnarok Thor? Maybe, maybe not. I can't answer that. We'll have to wait and see. But she is more powerful than Thor and Thor, the first Thor movie. That we can answer. Can't say it's an absolute that she's more powerful than Thor. Um, Power levels are weird. It doesn't matter. It's a cartoon, but it seems like they were trying to establish that Carol is more powerful than Thor, presumably. Um, Yeah, and then we get Thor like cleaning everything up. Frigga comes down. It's great to see Frigga again. Very underused character. I love her scene at Endgame. Um, because she's very underused, and I think Dark World and like Thor movie, uh, like to the point where I don't care that she dies. I know that's horrible, but like I mean that her death is really insignificant to me. Like I don't get emotionally attached to it. Very underdeveloped character, and I like what this episode did with her. Again, it's pretty shallow. It doesn't mean much, but it's good to see Frigga again. And this episode also answers the question if Odin was a good parent. I guess in this timeline, Odin was a good. Well, yeah, I guess he is a good parent. Well, it depends on the way you look at it. He didn't save the child, but he gave the child back as a gift. Maybe. I don't know. Son's a partier. I guess could be worse. His son could be trying to take over Midgard. Looking at you, Loki. But um, yeah, I didn't mind it. Like any of this episode, I didn't mind, but nothing was good. That was like great. This episode is easily the worst episode of What If. I've seen a lot of people online say they really enjoyed it. How? Like compared to the rest of the What If, it hasn't been like jaw dropping. It was just a party, a 30-minute party with a couple of fights. I mean, it was by far the worst episode to the point where I'd give it like a 6 or a 6.5. Like this episode of What If, I equate to that episode of The Bad Batch where they're in the cave with Sid. Like just nothing, a nothing burger. Like it wasn't that good to me. I do like the ending, and we can kind of speculate on that now. Everybody's saying that the last two episodes are gonna deal with the Vision Ultron thing, and I will agree, Vision Ultron with the Infinity Stones is the main villain of What If. But remember, we still haven't seen the Gamora Thanos thing. That will be the next episode. We know that we're going to get a Sicarian Tony Stark. So presumably, what I think is going to happen is it's going to have Iron Man head to Sakaar after the first Avengers through the portal, and somehow Gamora is going to be the Thanos of this timeline. Like Thanos doesn't exist, or Thanos was killed, or something along those lines. And Gamora is going to go after Tony Stark because of Stark's technology, or something along those lines. And Tony Stark will probably die because he dies in every single one of these what ifs that he's in. Um, because that's he's the punching bag of what if, him and Hank Pym. So Gamora will kill Tony Stark. And then episode 9 we'll get Killmonger, we'll get Captain Carter, we'll get Star-Lord's T'Challa, we'll get who else? Party Thor, Supreme Strange, maybe somebody from the Zombies episode, or maybe zombies themselves. I'm not sure, but they're gonna go up against this Ultron um, Vision morph that is presumably going across the multiverse, killing universes, because we know from merchandise leaks that there's a team called the Guardians of the Multiverse that I definitely think the Watcher is putting together. Because the Watcher like even looks disturbed when he sees this Vision Ultron, and we've seen timelines that have been destroyed or ravaged, like zombies. Like Supreme Strange's universe was literally out curled up into a ball, everybody dead except Doctor Strange. So like the Watcher have seen some pretty disturbing things, but I definitely think that this Vision Ultron thing is destroying universes and going throughout the multiverse, and the Watcher doesn't want that to happen. Um, so he'll intervene at this point, and he keeps getting closer and closer. We keep actually seeing more of his physical features. He's not some distant god. He is like a very real thing. And I definitely think we'll see him at some point in the MCU. Not sure when. But yeah, I think we'll definitely see him. So, kind of talked there for about 10 or so minutes about What If. It's really all I have to say. Again, pretty bare bones episode. It's cool to see Thor. I really love Thor, like Chris Hemsworth. The episode gets a 6 or 6.5 out of 10. Easily the worst episode of What If. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for next week, which will be the Sakari and Iron Man and Gamora as Thanos, and then obviously episode 9, which I hope is a longer episode. We'll deal with the Vision Ultron morph with all the Infinity Stones traveling across the multiverse. So that's all really exciting. Um, and now it is time to segue into our smaller topics. So we're going to talk a little bit about Black Panther 2, I believe. We've known this for a while, but it's kind of being confirming our speculation that we've had that we've specifically talked about on this podcast and other people. Black Panther 2 really. Oh, why did I read that? Okay, that's everything we know about Black Panther 2 so far, but it goes into a detail down here. I should have read this. Uh, not that. Why is it? Uh, wow. Okay, plot. Wow. Wow. Okay, this is what I want to talk about, right? Okay. Well, we don't have actual confirmed details about the plot. Some new information was revealed by Production Weekly that points to a war between Wakanda and Atlantis being at the center of the movie. Both Wakanda and Atlantis are hidden civilizations with advanced technology and increased militaristic abilities that decided to separate themselves from the rest of the world for their own safety. And in a way out of fear, Wakanda feared that their technology would be abused. The Atlanteans feared that the surface dwellers would come and desecrate their mythical city just as they did so many years ago. And yet their fears escalated even further when these two once hidden nations clashed with each other. Wakanda and Atlantis have a shockingly intertwined history. Wakanda is the only country in the world with access to vibranium. However, rumors of its power spread throughout the world, and Neymar's human father was sent in search of this rare material in Antarctica. Okay. Uh, so Wakanda and Atlantis obviously have a very rich history, right? In the comics, I believe Namor and Black Panther fought a lot. They were big rivals. Um, and these two civilizations have been at odds for a while. We've had multiple references, or at least one, right? I can't think of multiple, of Atlantis in the MCU. The one I'm thinking of is Iron Man 2, when Tony is getting like recruited into the Avengers or whatever. Um, we see on the board it shows like a spot that Fury's looking at, and it's probably Atlantis with Namor. So like what could the storyline be about it? The plot is centering around a war between the Wakandans and the Atlanteans. So my thing is like it's multiple ways I think they could go with it. They could go the route that the Atlanteans and Wakandans at some point had a mutual agreement that they wouldn't help the world, that they would remain hidden. Um, and when the Wakandans decided to, how about the Avengers? How about Bucky? How about Ross and Black Panther? That the Wakandans were not too, or the Atlanteans were not too happy, because there would be a risk if Wakanda was found that Atlantis would be found. So they could go that route with it, and Namor is upset, and um, maybe he kills T'Challa himself, and that's T'Challa's death in the MCU. I personally would not want that, but that's one route they could go. Another route they could go is prior, like thousands of years before the Atlanteans and the Wakandans had a battle. Um, and they both went their separate ways. It was basically a draw, and they decided mutually for the benefit of the world that they wouldn't continue destruction that could cause destruction to the whole entire world. They could also go the route that the Atlanteans are very discriminatory towards Earth dwellers. Like they view them as um, savages or scums. The Atlanteans, water is 70% of the Earth. So if that's the case, the Atlanteans feel like that 30% is didn't do their job and protected against Thanos and other extraterrestrial threats, and that Namor now finds the need to come out, and he learns that Thanos went to Wakanda and the Wakandans failed. So Namor's like, okay, we need to take the place as the real safe haven of the world. Like he wants to introduce the world to Atlantis, or a storyline of like the Wakandans spying on the Atlanteans and something happens, or in Endgame we get the earthquake thing that Okoye talks about, and that it could be that the Atlanteans are like signaling to the Wakandans that I'm ready for war, and we'll get the reason in. So there's a couple of different ways that they could go with it. I am really curious who Namor is after. Again, a lot of this depends on what they're going to do with T'Challa. My personal thing is that, or what they should do, in my opinion, is he should die, but they shouldn't give a reason. They should leave it up to fan speculation of how did T'Challa die. It'd be too on the nose to have him die with an illness. It would be, I think, disrespectful of the character if I saw Namor, stab him, or just have Doctor Doom or whoever. I don't know why I said Doctor Doom, but whoever killed T'Challa, that would just be disrespectful to the character, and it would feel kind of forced. I feel like if they did that, so I don't want that to happen. I would just like it. He dies. We don't get a reason why. It's just kind of left up to fan speculation and the fans' interpretation of it. So that's a little bit into Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and basically confirming our speculation um, about the Atlanteans and the Wakandans, um, how they could collide. Have they already met? Namor's involvement. Where have we heard of the Atlanteans before? They have a big history in the comics. I wouldn't be surprised. I really think they're going to go the route that they had a prior agreement, or they had a prior civil war, and one of them violated something. And Wakanda is very vulnerable at this point because they don't have their king. So I assume that somebody's going to have to step up. Presumably Shuri, as we've talked about on this podcast and other people have talked about, will have to step up and fight Namor. I could see very much a case where the Atlanteans, for a brief period of time, take over Wakandan technology, probably take their vibranium for something. I could see that happen. And so there's a lot that could happen here, but it's a wait and see type of thing. Uh, we're about 10 months away. It's currently filming still, so I'm very excited to see what they do. So without further ado, let's get into our next Marvel topic. And this is about a show we haven't really talked about. This comes from Main Middleman on Twitter. And this is what he's heard about Armor Wars so far. So here's what I've heard about Armor Wars. It will feature the return of some core Iron Man characters, Morgan Stark, Pepper Potts, and Harley Keener. We will learn more about Rhodes, who should be one of the main plot points. Obviously, Don Cheadle's in the show. We will learn about what happened to the Potts Stark family after the Tony death. And he also says there will be an initial formation of the West Coast Avengers. Vision and other familiar faces are expected to make an appearance. From everything I have heard, it will be very intense and immersive series along the lines of the MCU, and will feature Zeke Stain. He also says, just speculation for now, but I suppose he will return. That's referring to Justin Hammer. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Armor Wars. We don't know a lot about it. I very much think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier could kind of connect to Armor Wars. Again, I've specifically talked a lot on this podcast about how the Earthbound stuff seems non-interesting right now. Like the stuff with Black Widow, Yelena, Captain America, Falcon, Bucky, and then Armor Wars, and then Ironheart. Like none of that seems as interested as the multiversal stuff we've been setting up, or the cosmic stuff. Like even some of what we set up in Shang-Chi possibly with that dragon race that was in possession of the reins thousands of years ago, becoming the villain of Shang-Chi too. Um, like that's I know Shang-Chi is very much an Earthbound movie, but deals a lot with mythology and different realms. That's not really Earthbound, like grounded stuff. Hawkeye will be the first introduction into that world again after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I'm really curious to see how they make a very interesting, gritty, uh, underworld, just average life superhero stuff with Captain America, Hawkeye, Bucky, and Armor Wars. I very much think that oh, I can't even remember her name because the twist was so bad. Sharon Carter, the Power Broker. Um, One of the probably the worst thing that Marvel has done in Phase 4 so far. Pretty predictable twist, and it wasn't well executed. I don't think. I feel very rushed. And just like, did I miss something? Um, and I really think that she's talking to somebody on the phone. I think it could be this Zeke Stain that is possibly going to be the main villain of Armor Wars. And I looked it up. The Zeke Stain is the son of Obadiah Stane. And I'm not 100% positive if it's going to be Obadiah's son. And I don't think that would make sense if it was Obadiah's son. Why do we care about Obadiah? It's been a decade. But it would be interesting to reintroduce kind of the offspring of the first ever MCU villain and have him be an enemy of Rhodey, trying to destroy all the technology that ruined his dad, that killed his dad, and made Tony Stark the hero. That would be a really interesting storyline, and Rhodey has to pick up with that. And Rhodey's Don Cheadle has talked a lot about what this show was going to be about, with the legacy of Iron Man, with Stark Tech, with all of that stuff. So I'm really excited to see what they do there with that. Um, so that's definitely the most interesting element of the show. And again, to explore Don Cheadle's Rhodey more. We haven't gotten a lot with him. We know he's got a big military background, but I want to know more about his family, his motives. What does he truly think about all of this? How did he get to this point? What does he think about Tony? What does he think about Tony's death? How is he helping out the Pot Stark family? Like, what is his role in the MCU going forward? Because again, he's just a side character. I want to see like him almost take the mantle of Iron Man. I know we're getting Ironheart, but I want to see Brody take the mantle of Iron Man, even if it's for a brief period of time. And I want to see him struggle and come to the realization that he can never live up to Tony Stark, but he could be his own Iron Man. Because I think the rest of the world is going to look at him as Iron Man. Iron Man's dead, so that's what they're going to look at as the symbol of Iron Man. He's going to be the only one with that type of suit of armor. Uh, so yeah, that's where I see his character going. And to the point of um, the Potts and the Starks, I'm not really 100% sure what capacity they're going to be shown. We know that Gwyneth Paltrow said she doesn't want to be really in the MCU uh, um, unless she can only shoot her scenes in one day. Uh, so, I don't know how much they can really do with her character if she can only shoot for one day. It would have to be a brief cameo type of thing. Um, so, I don't know what they're going to do with her character. And Morgan, obviously, how much older is she going to be, and what type of role is she going to play in the MCU moving forward? We're getting Ironheart, so like she can't be the new Ironheart. Um, and so like again, I suspect that the Stark family now, the Pepper and Morgan, it's just gonna be brief, probably an episode, and not even a full episode, just like 5 or 10 minute scene. Harley, I could see him Iron Lad, maybe the formation of that. But even that, I'm not sold on. But I'd be interested if he becomes Rhodey's sidekick. That I think would be really cool. Um, so, and to the West Coast Avengers data, I am not familiar with the West Coast Avengers at all. Um, and their background, but White Vision is a character that's very interesting to me. He has all the thoughts of our Vision now. Um, and he just left at the end of Vision or WandaVision. And I really don't know uh, what's his role in the MCU going to be forward. And I didn't know what project he was going to show up in next. I think we theorized a little bit of Doctor Strange 2 after WandaVision, but that doesn't make sense to me because that seems to be more focused on the evil acts that Wanda is going to have to commit in Doctor Strange 2 and be more focused on Doctor Strange's own internal struggle with fighting Wanda. So I don't think there's going to be enough time for White Vision. So like I could definitely see like, White Vision like going and finding Rhodey or finding the Starks, kind of going back to his origins where, like Tony helped create Vision. Um yeah, I could definitely see something along those lines, like Vision trying to find his creator and him stumbling upon Rhodey. Um so like that's where I think that could go. And I'm not sure like why do we need the West Coast Avengers, and I'm not sure like how big they're going to be, like what's their role. Um, so yeah, I'm just not sure on that. I think it was just interesting to discuss Armor Wars because it's a thing we don't know a lot about, and I think the show will be a perfect show to explore Rhodey, obviously, maybe explore Sharon Carter a little bit more. Have White Vision, like we can see White Vision throughout these Disney Plus shows, learning more about himself. He has all the memories of Vision, but him himself, this White Vision, um, wants to go back to his point of origin, his creator, and he stumbles upon Rhodey, and Rhodey and them talk, and then the West Coast Avengers come up somehow. Like Vision learns about the Avengers. He's like, oh, I want to create this own thing. I never got to live through it, or something like that. I think would be really interesting. I don't know if that made any sense, but basically, I think White Vision and Rhodey could be the leader of these West Coast Avengers. I'd like to see Harley as Rhodey's sidekick. Rhodey take up the Iron Man mantle until Ironheart comes in. We know she's going to be introduced in Black Panther too, but I think when their show comes out, Rhodey will be more receptive to have Riri Williams be Iron Man, like the new Iron Man. And I think the world will be too. Armor Wars, Justin Hammer, I could see something with like the criminal aspect of the MCU that is kind of set up in Hawkeye, that is set up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just at a more large scale type of thing with Stark technology. So that's where I see that going. Sorry if you heard me typing, by the way. I had to fix something real quick. But anyways, it is time to wow, did I okay. Yeah, it's time to move into a third topic. We're going to talk about Disney Plus Day. The plan was just recently released, I believe, Tuesday, about what is going to be shown at Disney Plus Day. We speculated that it was going to be trailers, new looks, probably some announcements. And we have an official announcement on what we are going to see. So let me get this up. This is from Inside the Magic, who I thought did a great job of showing us what is going to be in or on Disney Plus Day. So we'll start from Bob Chapek's original quote. Here we go. I don't think this is a quote, but this is basically what it is. In honor of the second anniversary of Disney Plus, subscribers will have access to promotions and experiences across the company. Disney parks and resorts around the world and Disney Cruise Line will roll out blue carpet for Disney Plus fans with some surprise and delight moments, including photo opportunities, character moments, and more. ShopDisney.com will have special offers. Popular network shows and syndicate series will join in the celebration along with the talent series across ABC, Disney's Channel, ESPN, ESPN Plus, Freeform, FX, Hulu, National Geographic in the US, and owned channels abroad. This is Bob Chapek's quote. The inaugural Disney Plus Day will be a grand scale celebration of our subscribers across the entire company, said Bob Chapek, Chief Executive Officer of the Walt Disney Company. This day of appreciation brings to life our mission to entertain, inform, and inspire fans and families around the globe through the unparalleled storytelling and will become an annual tentpole event to be amplified across our global businesses. Disney Plus Day will feature content premieres from all of our marquee brands on service, including the premiere of Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, Jungle Cruise, Home Sweet Home, Alone, Olaf Presents, Frozen Fever, Feast and Paper, Get a Horse, Cio Alberto, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, a special celebrating the legacy of legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett, and a special celebrating the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney Plus with an exciting look towards the future. And Dope Stick, an original series starring Michael Keaton, which will be released in international markets as part of the Star General Entertainment content offering. Subscribers to the service will be entertained with inaugural Disney Plus Day fan celebration on Disney Plus, which will include breaking news, first looks, new trailers, exclusive clips, appearances from Disney creators and stars. Okay, so big announcement. Disney Plus Day. It's going to be very similar to the Investor Day I think we had last year, except it's not going to be as announcement heavy. I think we're going to get our first look at Boba Fett, or it might not be our first look, but it might be a substantial look. We're getting a whole document, or a featurette of Boba Fett and his life throughout the Star Wars universe so far, and probably a preview of what we should see in the Book of Boba Fett. I would suspect a trailer before then, but I could very well be wrong. And on the Marvel side of things, we'll get a whole review of what's happened on Disney Plus so far with the MCU. It would be a busy year at that point. We'll have 4 shows done, and excuse me, I suspect we'll get a first look at Miss Marvel. We'll have an official release date for that, which I think will be in January, a couple weeks after Hawkeye. And what else? She-Hulk maybe, and Moon Knight. We'll get our first look for, and possibly some announcements. Like I think it's possible we could get a Werewolf by Night show that's been rumored for a while announced. I can't really think of any other Disney Plus shows that they are going to announce. And for the Star Wars side of things, I don't think anything new will be announced. But that last sentence about new trailers, new clips, I definitely think we'll get a Boba Fett trailer then, like I was alluding to. It's going to be a big Boba Fett day. They're going to want us to get hyped for that character. But I really hope that Star Wars doesn't fall into the trap again of, fans can't consume too many products at once. They fell into that trap with Solo. They didn't market Solo until after The Last Jedi. The first trailer wasn't until February, the Super Bowl, which was 3 months before the movie. They can't do that. I feel like they can drop a little Kenobi teaser or an Andor teaser, and it wouldn't be too much. Marvel did it last year. Why can't we? So I definitely think we get a Book of Boba Fett trailer, a Kenobi or Andor teaser. Nothing for the Bad Batch season 2. I was talking to somebody I know in a Discord server who's got some pretty good sources. Has been right on a few things since I've talked to him, and they said I'm not friends with them. I shouldn't say But uh, I'm lying. No, I'm joking. Somebody in the Discord server, or Star Wars Meg's Discord server, she was talking about, uh, she had heard that Andor and Kenobi will be in the first half of 2022. I don't know why I said friend. I don't know. I was thinking of something else. Sorry, my bad. Uh, yeah, so Star Wars Meg was saying in her Discord that 2022 will get Kenobi and Andor in the first half, like immediately following the Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, that's really excited. That's all I got for Disney Plus Day. I will be streaming that day. Probably, I have school and stuff. That comes first. So after I get done with school and some of my work, I'll come on. We'll talk about all the announcements. That's on a Friday. Really excited for that. I'm really excited to do it annually. So yeah, the last two topics I want to talk about is kind of a review of Star Wars Visions. So let's pull up Disney Plus right now. I got a chance to watch all of them today. Today I had a really short day at school, and my school does really short Wednesdays. Plus, I'm a senior, so I don't have much work. So yeah, here are all the episodes. I'm gonna give like a little breakdown of what I thought of each one of them and like where do they rank. The Duel, I thought this was a really strong episode. This was my first ever anime. This right here, The Duel. Um, and I really enjoyed it. It was definitely in my top three of favorite episodes. I like the concept of Ronin being a defender against Sith, but not a Jedi. I thought that twist was really interesting. And I loved the Sith's lightsaber on this. That was really cool. I know there's a kid in novel with Ronin, and I would just like to explore this character archetype more. Like not a Jedi, but defense against the Sith. I know we have way seekers now in the High Republic, and you could kind of closely relate that to this or bearish vows. Um, I guess I'm not sure which one Ronin would be, but I'd like to explore Ronin itself more, and or the archetype of Ronin. Tatooine Rhapsody, I liked it. I really enjoyed it until it got to the end with like the band. I think it was a really heartfelt story, and I enjoyed that. But when it got to the end, I didn't care. It felt kind of bland to me, like just them playing a song. I understood it was supposed to be a heartfelt moment. Um, this one didn't do it for me. The twins I liked, but it felt a little too on the nose with Luke and Leia. I didn't mind the ending, like with the Tatooine. Um, that was okay. Um, overall, it was all right. Not my favorite thing, but I enjoyed it. Uh, the Village Bride. That one was really interested. Like again, before I get into the other episodes, I am definitely now oversaturated with Jedi and with kyber crystals. Way too much of that. And I think if you binge watch it, you're going to get really bored and it's going to become really repetitive for you. And that's how I felt watching it. Still, the episodes were great. Like, I think Visions is honestly better than The Bad Batch. That's nothing against The Bad Batch. I enjoyed like half of those episodes, like thoroughly enjoyed it. But these, I liked almost all of them. And like three of them were really, really strong. Um, but yeah, anyways, uh, The Village Bride, I didn't think I was going to like this one. This one I really enjoyed. Um, a Jedi who's in this unique village. The village, the village leader's daughter is supposed to be taken by pirates, and this Jedi saves the day. I like this one. This one was good. Um, here's where I think we should get some really, really strong episodes. Episode 5 um, was the Ninth Jedi. Um, and, we had this magistrate, I believe it was called. Um, And the Jedi at this point are extinct. They don't have their lightsabers, and it's just the Sith that reign. And I feel like once you get the canon thing out of your mind, just enjoy these stories, and you could like them. Some of these I think could fit into canon if we put it at a different time period. Um, so I really enjoyed them for what they were. I know some people, again, me specifically, I wasn't too excited to watch this because it didn't matter towards the timeline. But once I got that out of my head, I enjoyed most of these. And some of them I think could fit into canon. I think this one specifically could fit into a very early time period, somewhere in the Old Republic or before that. Um, and I really like this one. This Jedi gets lured into a trap. There's a bunch of Sith that kill the Jedi. Um, they get these lightsabers and try to take out this magistrate, this person who has a guy who's created these lightsabers um, for Jedi to use. This magistrate knows how to use the Force and defeats some of these Sith. And it's basically about rebuilding the Order. I really enjoyed this one. This one's in my top 4 or 5. But yeah, and there was a little girl, and I can't recall her name, who helps bring up um, the lightsabers, and this funny droid that's like malfunctioning. That's really cool. They did a good job with droids in all of these. I think the droids were really good in all of these episodes of Visions. TOB1, Toby. This episode was not great. I enjoyed it, but compared to the rest, it's a cybernetic Jedi. Um, and the doctor that created him is also a Jedi, lends him the lightsaber, the cybernetic boy who defeats the Sith that came to the village. And this one just aesthetically I didn't love. It wasn't my thing. And yeah, it definitely wasn't my favorite episode, but I didn't hate it. It's probably in my bottom half of Visions episodes. Um, it's just not my cup of tea, but it was interesting. The Elder, was my favorite episode by far. I love master and apprentice relationships. This one felt very, um, very stereotypical, but at the same time, it's why I love the master and apprentice or master and apprentice relationship. We get this elder. And again, this is another character archetype that I'd like to explore in Star Wars, a dark side user that's not associated with the Sith. I wish we got more of that. And this dude is insanely powerful. We see him take out the apprentice very easily, doesn't kill him. And I like the message it has in here. Um, I don't necessarily agree with it in the sake of Star Wars, but like it talked a lot about Father Time, and like Father Time caught up to this elder. And the master acknowledges that like I could not defeat him in his prime. This elder was very powerful in the dark side of the Force. And I disagree with it in the sense I think of the Force as the more older you become, the more in tuned with it you are. Sure, at some point you're going to die, but you're going to be more in tune with the Force. Physically, it's going to be tougher for you, but the Force abilities, I think, are still there. But overall, I love this episode. I love this character archetype of the Elder, and I love the character of the Elder itself. Lope and Ocho was a really good found family story. Ocho helped this character, a buddy named Lope, into her family after Lope was escaped being a slave to the Empire. And Ocho eventually, fell into order and wanted to join the Empire. She joined the Empire. And her father was very disappointed. Her father was very rebellious against the Empire. Lope, takes up the mantle and has to fight Ocho. So it's a sibling battle, kind of like the twins. Again, my only problem with Visions is they're so similar, and it deals with kyber crystals and lightsabers way too much. I felt oversaturated with it. So by the time I got here, I'm like, I knew what kind to expect. There were some really good twists in all of these episodes, but you know, I kind of you know, it kind of got bland to me. Um, but yeah, anyways, let's continue. The final episode is definitely in my top 3, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. Akakiri. This Jedi has a vision, and this vision is terrifying him, and it's a vision almost like Anakin with Padme. And this dude turns to the dark side and straight up kills the person, kills the princess that he becomes friends with and he's supposed to protect. And he brings her back to life with the help of the Sith. But this episode ends on a massive, my favorite cliffhanger of them all, where he's now presumably a dark side user, like this Jedi who's done heroic things. They went up this mountain that nobody has ever survived on, and this dude is just straight up evil now. It was very short, concise, and right to the point. I loved it aesthetically, its vibe. Like this one is super underrated in my opinion. Um, yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of all these. All these kind of leave off on a cliffhanger, and I really want to see a season 2 with all these stories continued. And they leave the door open to that. The producer was talking about it, so I really hope we get a season 2 of Star Wars Visions. Overall, I'm gonna give the first season an 8.5 or an 8 out of 10. Really loved it. I liked it more than the Bad Batch. Um, and that's surprising because I was not excited for this at all because it wasn't canon. And canonicity kind of matters to me. I know in principle it's not, but it does to me. Vision's great. I hope we get a second season. I hope some of these archetypes and even some of these stories are adapted into canon. So yeah, that's what I think about that. And our final topic, last week, I believe last Thursday, Sun Kane confirmed that his character uses a lightsaber. He says here, I kept pinching myself going, how did I end up here? And my character has a lightsaber. So it's been rumored that Sun Kane was going to play the fifth brother, and that seems to be confirmed if his character is going to use a lightsaber. I know you, Lucasfilm, when he said that, was like, that's a big no-no, because Lucasfilm definitely looks at the rumors and leaks and stuff, and, you know, we've gotten really good at that stuff. Our leakers and scoopers have gotten really good at that stuff of knowing what's real and what is fake. They've gotten really good, I think, in the past few years with all that stuff. So it is basically confirmed now that Sun Kane is going to play the fifth brother. Again, I don't know how big of a role it's going to be. We believe, kind of a spoiler here, that the premise of the show revolves around Leia. Maybe Leia getting lost. Maybe something with Leia, with the Inquisitors. And I think Obi-Wan is going to fight Sun Kane's fifth brother at some point, before we get that massive showdown with Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. So I would suspect that when we see the fifth brother, it will be him and the Grand Inquisitor, I think, hunting down Obi-Wan. And I definitely think that Sun Kane uses that lightsaber to fight against Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's really all I got to say about that. Just basically confirm it. I believe it was Jordan Mason from Cinelinx who had that report about Sun Kane playing the fifth brother. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the show. We talked about What If Episode 7. We talked a little bit about Black Panther 2 and Collider's report confirming the Atlanteans versus the Wakandans. We also talked a little bit about Armor Wars. What's the premise of that show going to be? The Potts family, Rhodey, all of that, the West Coast Adventures. We also talked about Star Wars Visions. But before that, we talked about Disney Plus Day. What are we going to see? What do I think we are going to see? Talked about Visions, gave a little recap of each episode, what I thought of each of them, where do I rank them, and where do I want another season? And finally, we just touched for a couple minutes on the Sun Kane news, him confirming that his character does in fact use a lightsaber after the rumors of him playing uh, the fifth brother were out there a couple of months ago. So, guys, that is going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching. If you watched on YouTube Live or if you're watching the replay, thank you very much. And I will have, if you're watching this on Thursday, I will have clips up. I'll have a Marvel clip with Black Panther 2 and Armor Wars, and I will also have a Disney Plus Day thing. I'll also have some of the Star Wars things I talked about with Visions and Sun Kane playing the fifth brother. So, without further ado, guys, I'm going to sign off for now. I will be back next Wednesday for a preview of Venom Let There Be Carnage to talk about What If Episode 8 with Gamora and Sakari and Tony Stark. Till next time, may the Force be with you.